this is Antoine with another episode of Out and Up, where we encourage young athletes to achieve their very best outside of the game. And we are blessed to be in our third season, and now with our third episode of this season. And we're blessed, like every show, to have another awesome guest. And y'all know how I do. I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hey, thanks, Anton. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. And I'm Angie Wiley, and I am with You Are Strong. I'm a performance coach, and so I actually work with athletes on their mindset.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate you being with us. Are you ready to get into the questions?
I am.
All right. So first, we're going to let those that don't know you know your connection to sports. So first, we'll go to where are you from originally, born and raised?
All right. I am from Buffalo, Missouri, which is a small town in Southwest Missouri. And I was raised there and stayed there until I left for college. And like I said, it's a small town, so there wasn't a whole lot to do. So I played every sport that I could. So I played 4 sports through college. My favorite happened to be basketball. And I did go on and play 2 years at Johnson County Community College, which is a junior college right close to Kansas City. And then from there, I went on and played at Pittsburgh State University in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
All right. So I know you said there wasn't a lot to do. Like, was there another inspiration behind like getting started in sports?
Well, my dad coached me. So I had my dad coaching me in basketball and softball. So from a very early age. And, you know, it was fun. I have a competitive driven spirit, so it was very fitting for me.
All right. All right. Did you have a favorite between the 2 sports?
So basketball was my favorite. Fast pitch softball was definitely a close second. So I kind of toyed with softball as well in college. But of course, when you're recruited for one sport, that coach really wants you to give everything to that one. So, and then I played volleyball and track as well, and ran track in high school. So,
wow. So you played a few sports, and it's awesome just to hear the different areas that you were active. What are any other extracurricular activities? Being so busy in sports, were there any other extracurricular activities that you took part in school?
I did. It's interesting you said that. Yes, I was in student body. I was actually student body president. I was student council all the way through. In other, in kind of every club that I could be in. I just love to be involved. And again, there wasn't a lot outside of school and sports in a small town to do. So I just got involved wherever I could.
All right. What were some of your most memorable moments? I mean, in any of the sports? I know basketball was a big one for you, but what were some of your most memorable moments in sports?
Oh my gosh. Well, from college, I did have the opportunity. We won conference when I was at Johnson County. We also had the opportunity to win conference at Pittsburgh State, and we did get into the tournament. It's a D2 school, but those were definitely memorable moments. In high school, we always had winning teams and always won over 20 games. I won over 20 games every year through college as well. So I was fortunate and blessed to also have a lot of great teammates all the way through. I did have the opportunity to win state in track with a 800 team. So we had a 800 relay group put together, or 2-mile relay put together. And so we won state there. So I was able to go to state a couple times in track. So that was fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So as you were playing these sports, like I would say probably in the high school era, did you accomplish, for the most part, the things that you had set out in high school to accomplish in those sports, being able to go on to college and play? Did you reach the goals that you had planned to reach?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest goal, obviously, we wanted to always win over 20 games. We were going for, conference and districts. We were in a super competitive conference and district. The state champions came out of our conference area, actually. So it was very competitive, but my big goal was I love to play. And I loved the sport, and it kind of fed my soul. And I knew from an early age that I wanted to go on and play college basketball. So really that was the biggest thing for me, was an opportunity to play. And I, more than anything, looked for where was I going to fit? Where was a good fit for me? I'm not big. I'm 5'6", and I probably, was 120, 125. So I'm not a big player. So I was a 2 guard when I started my freshman year at college, and then I became a 1 guard. So size didn't help me, in that area when you get onto the next level. But I did my best to get as strong as I possibly could, and just physically, maximize myself out. And I do believe that I did that. So
That's
I was
good.
I was a high rebounder, I think, in college or in high school at one
Wow.
point. So, but
Wow.
you do what you can. But my big thing was just that opportunity to go play.
Okay.
Um,
Right. So Miss Wiley, I will ask for those viewers that may think a little bit like me. I'm gonna ask Miss Wiley, can you still shoot the rock like you used to?
Oh, I don't know. So I have to tell you this. So we we had our 30, this is bad, but our 30-year reunion at Pitt State for our conference championship team. And
Mhm.
so when we went back, of course, we were coerced into playing the younger kids. And I had not told, I mean, I still work out, but I don't run up and down the court. So there's a
Okay.
difference there. Well, I made a shot. We'll say
That's
that.
good. That's good.
And I
You
made
can
it up
still
and down the floor.
that's good. You
But
can
by the
still
end
put
of
it through
it,
the hoop.
by the end of it, it was pretty funny. Me and a teammate were tag teaming. So one of us was offense and one of us was defense.
I would be doing the same thing.
So,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's good to hear. I will ask, I like to give this to our kids, and just let them hear different people talk about it. But the transition from high school to college, what are some things kids need to look for and just, stepping up to that next level once they move on from high school to college when they're student athletes?
So, I think I will say, I shared with you earlier that I was in the student body, student council. I went to basketball camps at a very early age. And I'm saying all of this because a couple of the camps even that I went to introduced me to the mindset part of the game. And I feel like I was very blessed and fortunate to be taught the mindset part. Even, some of it was even just the goal setting and knowing where I wanted to go. But then when you combine in that leadership part of it, I also got another aspect of the mindset. And I think my passion for seeing how important the mindset is in sports and athletics started at an early age. And then combine that with, I was an asthmatic. And so pretty severe enough that in college and high school, both, I was on inhalers. I was on 4 inhalers 4 times a day through college. And I share that because, again, I think me knowing how the mindset works, and then your mindset can control, right? You can help, your
Right.
mindset can help you control that physical response in your body. And I started learning that and experiencing it firsthand. And then I think I was just pretty conscious, and I observed other athletes, and you would see whether, they had, what it took to really bring that strong mindset forward or not. And that started it. And I share all of that because I know that helped me with that transition in college. And when I did go to college, the first 2 years, I had a super tough coach, more so than my last 2 years, just in regards to intensity and yelling and those types of things. And so that it can be a transition for an athlete. And I obviously had some of that in high school too. But it's a whole nother level, as you know, of intensity with everything. But having that preparation of the mindset moving into college helped with the
That's good.
transition for sure.
Good information, Miss Wiley. So we fast forward through college, and now you get to the point where you know, basketball is done, sports is done. What was the mindset now after playing sports all these years? How did you handle that transition? A big part of the show is just really encouraging our young athletes to have an identity outside of the sport, be ready and prepared for when the sport is no longer part of your life, and really having goals and plans for post being an athlete. And so I asked you, like, you've been able to go on, do some awesome things. You touched on what we're really going to get into with your program that you have, but post college, post playing sports anymore, how did you handle that transition?
Well, I will say that that was a transition, right? Because all I had pretty much ever done has played sports, and I'd had part-time jobs here and there. Even for me personally, looking at what do I want to do in that college degree, I transitioned to, I switched my degree a few different times. And I just want to tell kids that that's okay. I talked to an athlete a couple of weeks ago, and her biggest stressor was not knowing what she was going to do. And she's senior in high school, and she's like, there's so much pressure. And I was like, you will figure it out. Right. We figure it out. But so I changed my degree 2 or 3 times. I ultimately ended up with physical education, K through 12, you know, because that's where I had spent my life, was in sports. Okay. And I ended up with a minor in psychology because I have that passion, right, for the mind. And I started doing my student teaching, and I knew in my heart that that was not for me. And so that is a crazy place to be, you know, finishing your college degree and knowing that you're not excited about what I just got my degree in. And it was okay. I didn't, beat myself up over it. You just keep moving forward. I did coach for a year. I was part of the YMCA for a while. Then my husband had his own business, and I actually went into working with him. But in that, I did coach. I was teaching shooting too for basketball. So you have to keep your foot in it early on. Okay. So, but I started getting more and more passionate, even then, about the mindset is not taught in sports. I looked around, saw all these athletes, and it's like they don't teach it, because I told you I coached for a year, and it's like this part is just completely left out. I started writing a book with one of my teammates at the time, and we got a good, decent ways into it. And then life happened, and I ended up moving. And at that point, I knew that I needed something that was competitive for my spirit, because I'm just a driven person and I don't sit down real well. So I like to be busy, and I've got to have that goal, right? I've got to have that next thing that I'm going after. So I had learned more and more about medical device, talked to a few people, and really decided that sounded like the direction that I wanted to go. So when we moved, which was from Kansas City to Springfield, Missouri, and that's where I'm at now, I got into medical device sales and then sales management, and I ended up ultimately spending 22 years in that career. So
that's good. That's good. And I think you touched on something that I think is important for the young people listening, whether middle school, high school, or even early in college. Understand that it's all right to figure it out. Sometimes you said the words, like, sometimes things don't quite happen how you plan for them to happen, especially right out of college. And sometimes people will go through a long stint of beating themselves up because you didn't quite enjoy maybe the career field that you thought you wanted to get into, or, things didn't quite come together as you expected. And as you say, you were figuring it out, you transitioned. The teaching thing wasn't just, you recognized wasn't it, but then you were able to move on and figure it out and move on to something else. And I think that's awesome. I appreciate you for kind of even telling that story, because I think a lot of young people need to hear that.
Right. Yes, I agree. I do
good.
touch on that in my program as well, because that is a thing. I think that's an important question that you asked, even just in regards to your identity, and right, making sure that as you are an athlete, that you're more than an athlete, and you have more and additional gifts and talents outside of that.
That's good. That's good. So there's so many questions I want to ask Miss Wiley, but I want us to focus on your program. So we may go back and reach back and ask some other things, but Miss Wiley has an awesome program. She was brought to my attention last season. If you watched the episode, we had Miss Bella Fauntleroy, who is now going on. She's in her freshman year at Baylor University. And Isabella Fauntleroy, I believe, was Missouri's Gatorade Player of the Year. She ended up being in Missouri. Awesome young lady. Great interview we had. But during that interview, she just mentioned, and I can't even give you all the details, but she just kind of mentioned how one of the areas she leaned on when she needed to kind of get her mind right, for the game and really handling the pressure, she mentioned Miss Wiley. And so when she mentioned the name instantly, I had to go searching. And so I found Miss Wiley. I've been able to kind of keep an eye on her page and the program that she does. And we're going to get into that, but it's your Master Your Mindset program. If you'll just tell the viewers, give us a little bit, those that don't know about your program, what that program consists of and the whole makeup of it.
Okay. All right. Well, so I created this program, and I will share early on, I was just doing what I called boot camps, right? So I would show up for a team, however much time they would give me, and I would spend a portion of the day, right? A couple hours or whatever. And that is good. But when I decided to go full time and really do this, what I wanted to do was take it out over a period of a minimum of 60 days. And the reason that I do that is because it's no different than your physical game and trying to change a habit, right, within your physical game. So, whether it's a physical habit you're trying to change with your shot, you have to get in the repetition to really create that muscle memory. And I look at our minds very much the same way. The way we think and the way we respond, the way we emotionally respond is all a habit. And so to really create true change with an athlete, it's important that I have the opportunity to work with, them over a period of a minimum of 60 days to really work to try to change those habits. And so it's set up with 8 weeks. Each week I touch on a different topic. The big things that I really work towards with athletes is they will see an increase in their confidence. They're going to get really conscious about how they think. They're able to, really control their thoughts. And they learn performance visualization in there. They learn how to control their state, which is really your emotions. So we all have high states and we all have low states. They learn how to control that. We take a look at what is their vision? And I know you touched on that. And I think you coach and, teach that as well. What is that long-term vision for yourself? And then we peel it back and we say, okay, what's your goals and a game plan? And I just teach them how to get really clear and look at those next action steps. And we also look at what are you doing daily? So your daily habits. So all of those different topics are broke out over the 8 weeks, and we build on, week after week, that kind of builds on each other.
That's good. That's good. So those watching the show, I can say this. You have just missed the August 7th start of the new program. However, I need you from this point on to seeing this show to be watching and looking at Ms. Angie's page. Give everyone watching your social media outlets so they can kind of keep up on when you're starting classes. Okay. We know they've missed the August 7th one, but right. Just kind of give them your social media information so they can kind of keep an eye on things from this point on. Okay. So Instagram, it is, I am Angie Wiley, but it's Angie_you are strong. And then, Facebook is Angie Wiley -you are strong. My website is youarestrong.com. So you should be able to find me there. And that's good. It is so important. This program, again, I believe is so important. Everyone that's watched know, even last season, we had a psychologist on the show. First season, we had a financial specialist on the show, because I think covering the full aspect of life and even life outside of the sport is so important for our young athletes. With Miss Angie, I believe she provides that mental assistance and coaching for what you need in that sport that you're playing. And we talked about it before we got started. I believe when you don't know how to manage your emotions and manage the mental part of it, that will only overflow into your life anyway, with the struggle of not being able to perform at the level that you want to. So I believe her program is so important. So I'm encouraging you, if you see this show and you have a young athlete in the game, get them the assistance, get them the coaching needed. And I'm introducing you here to Miss Wiley. She has an awesome program. And the program, those, that saying, well, not in the area, again, let them know that they can do it from wherever they're at across this country. Let them know how easy it is to get locked in with you.
It is so easy. In fact, we are just this August 7th program, we are taking the second group through our app. So it's actually ran through an app. And what I do is I every Sunday evening, that's typically the freest Sunday that athletes have, but I do a 30-minute training call. And that topic for that week, that call, it drops into the app the next day. So even if you miss a call, you're going to get the recording. Then every single day in that app, I am sending you information, tools, reminders. You'll get your push notifications. And so that's where you get in that mental game repetition. So it's all virtual. And the important thing with it as well is that I really like to have parents in the app, because I want parents getting the information as well. So it really doesn't matter, one or two parents can be in there too. And that way I've even had families go through it together. And so that's, it was really encouraging when I had families sit down listening to the training calls together on Sunday evenings, or even the recordings, and then they're all getting the information. And I just, so many of these families, they're just sports families, right? So I think it even helps the parents know and understand what their athletes are going through, and the work that the athletes are putting in on the mindset. And it helps the parent probably be, better parents as far as in regards to youth sports and supporting their athletes.
Okay, that's good, Ms. Wiley. I will ask, what are some of the biggest obstacles? I think as you name some stuff, maybe a young player or athlete watching will say, you know what, I deal with that. What are some of the biggest things that they deal with when it comes to just the struggle from the mental aspect of the game?
So there's so many things, but a lot of them are very common, like what you're talking about. So some is just starting that self-doubt, when the self-doubt starts creeping in and you really feel that drop in confidence. Most of the time that is coming from making mistakes, right? Whether it's in practice or in a game. And so it's really starting to look at redefining the way you look at mistakes and failures. And so that is very helpful to athletes when we go through that process. Athletes also deal with being anxious and stressed, and sometimes they'll refer to it as performance anxiety. And so that we are absolutely able to help them work through that and shift the way they look at it. Many times they're just focused on, that end goal instead of really focusing on the process and what that process looks like. There's also so many athletes, everyone is just competitive and driven, and they have this feeling that they're supposed to be perfect, and they're supposed to play perfect. Their grades are supposed to be perfect. Life is supposed to be perfect. And I've worked with so many athletes who have lost their happiness and their joy even in playing, because they're putting so much pressure on themselves. And so we're really able to, kind of release all of that. And there's no better feeling for me than when an athlete's gone through my program and it was a struggle, in the beginning. And I've had, college athletes even that it's like, are they going to continue playing because they're so unhappy? And then 3 months later, their situation hasn't changed at all. And I call them up, and we're doing a one-on-one coaching session. And I'm like, how are you doing? And they're like, I'm good. And I was like, are you really good? And they're like, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, that is awesome. I've had athletes tell me that they can self-regulate after working with me. And, my goal is, that you learn the tools that you need to be able to bring yourself out of those low states and, to really be able to step into your own power. Just learn some tools, really.
That's good. That's good. So you touched on it real quick. You mentioned academic. So your program, are you giving the student athlete tools to just help them from the sports aspect, or are you sometimes covering things that also they're able to kind of apply even when it comes to the academic part of being a student athlete?
So yes, I do focus on their sports, right? Because I'm working with athletes for a reason. However, my biggest passion is, who is the athlete after, right?
Gotcha.
And I think this is your, I know this is your passion too, but it's like I'm taught when I'm talking to parents, I'm like, if I've got middle school, high school, I'm like, only 7 to 8% of high school athletes get to go on and play in college, right? And even if you're blessed enough to have that opportunity to go play college sports, chances are that you are done at the age of 22, somewhere around in there.
Right.
So your career is over. And my question is who did you become?
Wow.
Who did you become through all of that? And so absolutely, yes. Everything I teach, I teach it for the sport. And then I also take it and I want them to apply it to their life. And so, for example, I teach performance visualization. Well, you can use performance visualization in absolutely every aspect of your life, right? And probably one thing that most humans hate doing is speaking in front of other people. And so I do use that as an example. If you've got to give up and give a speech, I'm teaching them to use tools, right, outside of the sport, in school and in life as well.
That's good. That's good. And so we talked a little bit prior to starting recording, and you made me aware of an awesome foundation that you have. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Just like what led to you starting this organization for those that don't know about it? I think it's an awesome organization that you have, and I want people to really know what you have going on and what you're able to do through your organization.
Okay, so my husband and I met, it was my freshman year of college, his sophomore year, and he was baseball, I was basketball. And then, of course, we raised our kids in sports as well. So we've always had a sports family. He had a huge heart for giving. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer and passed in 2020. And when he did, I knew that we wanted a way to give back. So I get passionate.
I understand. I understand.
So I created, and the name of it now is the Chuck Wiley Athletic Foundation. And the purpose of the foundation is to help athletes in need. And because you and I both know, playing youth sports is not cheap, right? It can be expensive at times. It can be a burden on families if families are struggling. And at the same time, it can make an incredible difference in the lives of youth athletes. And so what we don't want is we don't want to see kids not have an opportunity to play and to compete and to participate because of finances, or, because they don't have the equipment that's needed, anything like that. And so the foundation is in place to support youth athletes in need. That means, it may just be a family that's going through a hard time for a short period of time, or it's an athlete who is not going to be able to play probably all the way through unless somebody helps. But so we really kind of we help in every sport. Where we're based in Missouri, we have helped outside of Missouri because the foundation is growing and the awareness is growing. And what we do for our fundraiser is we pull in, this year we had almost 60 teams for a baseball tournament, ages 8 through 14. And I'm hearing like next year already that there's plans for more growth, but that is our main fundraiser for the foundation. And so it would be simply contacting me at this point, and then we take those needs to the board, and the board, we typically approve. So, and so then we're able to get funds distributed out just to make sure athletes are keep them playing. Don't let a kid not play because of finances.
That's good, Ms. Wiley. I think that's something awesome that is needed. And wow, so many states across this country, so many young athletes we get to see, or young people that had the potential to be awesome young athletes, and they don't get the opportunity to play for the reason that you're saying, just not having the funds and the parents' inability to be able to sign them up into that sport. So it's awesome what you're doing there in Missouri, and even like you say, you're able to kind of already reach outside of the state, and I'm just hoping and praying that your program continues to grow, because I know that it is something needed. So continue the awesome work that you're doing, Ms. Wiley. And with those that need to reach out and want to donate, would they go get to you through the same outlets that you've already given us already?
So if you find me on Facebook, just under Angie Wiley, you will find the connection for the Chuck Wiley Athletic Foundation. Okay. It's there on the Facebook page. And so that is one way. And once you're connected to me, you can send me a message just through Messenger even.
That's good. That's good. So as we get close to wrapping it up, there's always a few questions I ask at the end, but one I want to ask you for the young person, I'm going to say to you all, you need to find the opportunity to try to get with Ms. Wiley and be a part of her program. It's easy. She told you it's as easy as getting onto the app. I know our young people, you have multiple apps. You know how to utilize your devices. So she's made it easy for you. And I believe it's a big part of you really, really going to your highest level when it comes to that sport that you're playing. But Ms. Wiley, for those that's watching, if we did a quick soundbite, just let our young people know that's watching, and the parents watching know the importance to really focusing just as much on your mental mindset as you do the physical.
Right. It is, to me, you no matter where you're looking, you're going to pull up and it's going to say sports is 80 to 90% mental. And I totally believe that. And the thing is I just believe that as you're young and you're an athlete, it gives you an opportunity to really learn these principles, to grow that confidence, the belief in yourself. I'm always telling athletes, you're never going to outperform your belief in yourself. So our goal is that we're growing that belief. And again, it's not only going to impact you in your sport, but it's going to impact you in your life. And these are life tools. So you're going to carry what I teach is going to go with you way beyond just your sport.
That's good. That's good. So I'm looking at the You Are Strong website right now, and I'm looking at a couple of testimonials. And so right away, I see the young athlete that says, I feel much more confident and can let things go easier. The parents that are saying how much they focused on their daughter's physical skills, but how they found that building the muscle of the mind may be the most important. What are some of the testimonials that you can remember right offhand, that some parents or even some of the athletes have reached out to you to say just how blessed they are after going through your program?
So, well, gosh, it makes my mind spin kind of. I get texts because most of the athletes, I work with athletes one-on-one coaching, and I work with some athletes in group coaching. So a lot of the athletes do end up with my mobile number. So I will end up with, different texts. And I've had, athletes go into a state and track, and just reaching out and saying thank you. It's made such a difference. I've used, this tool and this tool, and found that I was able to hit my personal best. Others, I had a middle school gal who this is not even an athlete, but it does come to mind, and she's got health issues going on, and she's an athlete, but she's dealing with health issues, and she's like, I was able to go in to that doctor's appointment and get done what I needed to get done, and it was the first time I didn't have anxiety.
Wow.
And so, so that was huge for me, because those are things that really matter, right? When it's even translating outside of sports.
That's awesome.
I've had, a parent, tell me, I kind of shared earlier, I don't know if my daughter would still be playing if she hadn't started working with you. And just even kids telling me that they're happy now, which might sound crazy, but there's a lot of pressure out there. There's so much pressure that these, youth athletes put on themselves. And so learning that, a certain amount of pressure is okay, but you've got to maintain that happiness and that high state, because that's where you're going to perform your best.
That's good. That's good. And so anyone that's watched the show over the last year, or even some of my Monday morning thoughts, I have this acronym I like to share with kids when I go to speak. I spoke at a couple camps this summer, and I always talk to the kids. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to win. And so what I point the kids to remember from now on, if you want to win in life, you have to know that work is necessary. I tell them, this is your new acronym to remember. Work is necessary. And I think just dealing with the mental mindset in the game and as an athlete is just another part of putting the work into really being the best you, not only in the game, but even in life. And so I think, again, I've said it already a couple of times. Well, I'm going to say this to kind of end our segment, but your Master Your Mindset program is definitely a game changer. And I think our young athletes need to know, and I'm really hoping you'll see on my page, those that's watching, I will be posting as much as I can, just making sure I'm shooting you in that direction, because so many athletes, I think, don't reach even their potential in the game, nonetheless outside in life, but in the game, because they're overcome by the struggles when it comes to the mental aspect of the game. And so I thank Ms. Wiley for joining us. I thank her for, just being open to the direction to start this program. Those again that were listening in regards to her foundation, please, if you're in a position to be of any kind of assistance to help support the program, I'm sure if you're around youth sports, you've seen kids over the years who haven't been able to participate for various reasons. So Ms. Wiley again has an awesome program from that aspect. But Ms. Wiley, we have two questions we always kind of end the segment with. I just want kids to always hear from different outlets. But how important is it for the young student athlete to have positive people in their circle?
Oh, it's absolutely important. I like the saying that you will become the 5 people that you hang around most.
Wow.
So that's how important that is. So you better look around you and see who you're hanging out with. It's absolutely going to influence you. And it's one of the things that I start with athletes when we start talking about, like, let's think about what you're thinking about, right? And one of those influences is, one of the biggest ones is who are you surrounded with? Who's surrounding you? And that's going to influence your thoughts. And that really starts to set that foundation. So that's extremely important.
That's good. That's good. And so in final, I always like to ask, who or what is it that inspires you most in life?
Wow. I would say I have a deep faith.
That's good.
I have faith, and I am doing what I'm doing now because I know from doing the inside work that I continually had that tap on my shoulder, and I feel like God just wouldn't quit tapping that you are supposed to do this. And so, life was easy and good in the medical device world, but that faith and knowing that I was supposed to do this, that really is, my inspiration to keep doing what I'm doing.
Wow, man, and that's definitely an inspiration to me, because even in that, what I'm doing, we talked about it off screen. Those that know me closely know I even walked away from a career, or somewhat of a career. I'm still kind of in that circle somewhat, but I walked away from a job that I believe now positions me to have a little more freedom to work on those things when it comes to mentoring, going out speaking to groups at schools, and then our youth programs. And so I think it's important that people know that when you have that thing, we call it purpose, or whatever God has placed in you, making sure that you're obedient and you follow that thing, because that's the ultimate thing that will always give you that feeling of completion when you're doing the very thing that's inside of you to do. And so I thank Ms. Wiley from hearing that, feeling that tap on the shoulder, and presenting us with her awesome program and what she's doing. I think I will not close the show. I know people are gonna say, man, you be preaching too much on this show, but I think it's awesome she touched about her faith, because one of my other things I cover all the time is just a part of really making good decisions, a part of really achieving your very best. You have to have a good foundation. And so I always tell people, I'm not ashamed to tell you my foundation is my faith, and that's the thing that kind of keeps me, as life will always give you different obstacles and distractions, but you have to have some sort of foundation. You have to have something to stand on. And again, we're blessed to have another guest who's not ashamed to say hers is her faith, mine is my faith. And that's ultimately what's going to keep you. So thank you, Ms. Wiley, for joining us. I thank you for the awesome information. And I need you all to check out Master Your Mindset app. Yeah, I believe you'll get some great information, and it'll be a definite game changer and really helping you to go to that next level. Mr. Rogers is always talking about outside of the game, but Master Your Mindset will help you go to that next level in the game. So thank you, Ms. Wiley, for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. And so you all know, I always say every episode, it is great. It is good to be just awesome in that sport that you're playing, but it's even better to be great in life. So if you're truly trying to achieve your best outside of the game, I challenge you to really put the work, this information that she gave us, check out her program, and continue to join us as we go out and up. Have a good one. We'll see you next episode.